Hello everybody. Today we are going to start chapter 4 with lesson 1. This chapter is about common prefixes. Just to remind you, as earlier we used to remind you, you have to keep your books next to you, and in your books, if you look at page 58, there are a few roots and suffixes. So you have a list of roots and a list of suffixes. You have to go through them, see their meanings, learn them by heart, because all what you are going to come across in chapter 4 deals with these roots and suffixes, and of course with the prefixes that are going to be introduced in this chapter. Now let's start with the first prefix. As you can see here on page 59, we have a, and then between brackets we have n, followed by a hyphen. Now, what does this mean here? You remember in English we studied the articles the, a, and an. We said that a and an are indefinite articles, but we use them in different places. For example, if the word that follows starts with a vowel, we say an. For example, if we have orange and we want to use either a or an before orange, we say an orange. But if we have, let's say, book, the word book, we say a book. We do not say an book. So here it is the same. Either you use a or an based on the following words, whether it starts with a vowel or not. So they have the same meaning, which is no or not. Okay, this is the meaning of a or an. They mean no or not. Let's see the first term. We have apnea. Apnea, pnea means breathing, and of course a means no or not. So what is the meaning here? Not breathing. There is no breathing. All right. The next term, anuria. Anuria. Why did we use an here? Because uria starts with u, which is a vowel. So we used an, but in the first one, the uh, suffix starts with a p, which is a consonant. So that's why we used a. So here, uria means urine or urination. Now the full meaning is no urine being formed in the kidney, because you know the urine comes from the kidney. All right, so when there is no urine formed okay, in the kidney, so the person cannot urinate. Let's see the pronunciation.
Apnea. 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 Anuria. Anuria.
Now the next prefix is ab, and ab means away from. Now away from here is not clear, but let's see the pictures given here. First of all, let's see the meaning of the term, and then we come to the meaning of ab, how when it is added to a term. So abduction, the first one we have abduction. ION, maybe we came across before, it means process. And duct, which is a root here, means to draw or to move. All right, draw or move. And ab, of course, means away from. So the meaning process of drawing away or moving away from the midline. All right. So moving away, the process of drawing away or moving away from the midline. Now let's look at the first picture here, abduction. What does it mean again? Moving a body part away from the midline of the body. Now look at the arrows here. This person is moving his arms away from his body. See? He is pulling them up. Look at the first, which is at the first end of the arrows. Okay? The hands are next to the body. The hands are next to the body. If the person puts them up, lifts them up, okay? Look at the arrows. Now the arms are away from the body. And the word midline, we will come to that in the following slide. We will see what is meant by the midline. Again, if you look at the picture on the right side, abduction, moving a segment, we took it before, means part or piece, away from the midline. Whether here in the first picture, the arms, or here the second picture, the leg, it is the same. We are talking about body parts. So here, look at this picture on the right. Now, before moving the leg away from the other, they were next to each other, the legs. Now, after moving it away, look at the arrow, moving it away from the other leg, which is the midline, we will talk about this, we call this abduction. Okay, so this is the meaning of abduction. Abduction, the process of drawing away or moving away from the midline. Now here, this is what is meant by the midline. Look at the top of the picture, the word midline. Mid means the middle, right? There is a hypothetical midline that, let's say, divides the human body into two identical parts. All right, look at the dotted red line going from top to bottom. This dotted line is dividing the human body into two identical parts. So the left part, you have one arm. The right part, again, you have one arm. The left part, you have one leg. The right part, you have one leg. So they are identical. Again, if you're talking about ears, one ear is here, one ear is there, one eye is here, one eye is there, half the nose, even half the mouth. So everything is divided into half. All right. So this is what we call the midline. So if you move the arm away from the midline, which is in the middle here, you put it up, you put your arm up. This is what is meant by the process of abduction, the process of moving away from the midline. Okay? Let's see the pronunciation.
Abduction. Abduction.
Now we have another prefix, which is ad. Ad means toward. So this is the opposite. Ab means away from, ad toward. Okay? So adduction, again, ION process, duct means to draw or to move, but ad here, toward. So if your arms are away from your body, just like in the first picture, if you are lifting your arms, okay, now you put them down close toward your body, this is called adduction. So if you look at the first picture, adduction means moving a body part, and here we are talking about the arms, towards the midline. I know now you know what is meant by the midline. Okay, the midline of the body. Again, the next picture on the right, moving segment towards the midline of the body. Again, if your leg is away from the other, from the midline, and you put it back, okay, look at the arrow where it goes. If you put it back, then this is called adduction. All right, let's listen to the pronunciation.
Adduction. Adduction.
Now, page 60, we have ana. This is the prefix ana, and it means up or apart. All right. The first term, and you are familiar with this one, anatomy. You remember this one in chapter 2, I think. Yeah. Anatomy. You remember anatomy and physiology? So, anatomy, Tommy means process of cutting, and we took this before. Tommy, cutting, the process of cutting. And ana means up or apart. Now, the meaning, the study of the structure or parts of the body. Here, you know, sometimes, as I told you, there are exceptions. The meaning is not exactly as the parts, the meaning of the parts, if you put the meanings of the parts together. So when we come across, let's say, an exception like this, you have to learn it as it is. And we have learned this before, the meaning of anatomy. So it is apart from learning the meanings of the parts and putting the parts together. Maybe the meaning itself sometimes looks different. Okay, so you have to learn it as it is. So this is an exception. Let's see now the pronunciation.
Anatomy. Anatomy. Anatomy.
Now the next prefix we have ante, which means before. Ante, see, it is not anti, that is different with an I. Maybe we'll come to that later. But this is ante, okay? So it means before. And the first term, antenatal. AL, you remember we took this, which means pertaining to. Nate means birth, and ante means before. So what is the meaning here? Pertaining, okay? Pertaining to, before birth. And here when we talk about something that is related to sorry, if we are talking about a thing which related to something before birth, before giving birth to a child, we are referring to the fetus, which is the baby before being born, okay, referring to the fetus. So it is before birth. Now the next term, antepartum. Antepartum, partum means delivery. This is the one, delivery, giving birth, labor, childbirth. You see, this is the meaning of, which means this is after now, okay? But here we are talking about antepartum, before childbirth, now referring to the mother in this case, okay? Referring to the mother.
Antenatal. 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 Antepartum. Antepartum.
Now the next prefix we have anti. This one is with an I, and maybe you know that it means against because we use it in English. All right, anti. Okay, it means against. Antibiotic. Huh? You are familiar with this word, antibiotic. Tic means pertaining to. You remember this, IC. Huh? Okay. And bi means life, and anti against. So the meaning, drugs used against bacteria. Bacteria means the life. Here we are talking about life. Bacteria against bacteria that have infected the body. So drugs used against bacteria that have infected the body. Let's see the pronunciation.
Antibiotic. Antibiotic. Antibiotic.
The next prefix we have auto. Auto means self. All right. Now, the first term is autopsy. Autopsy. So, opsy means to view, and auto means self. And here, maybe you can find some kind of exception here. The meaning, we cannot get the full meaning as the meaning of the parts put together. So, here it means examination of the body after death to determine the cause of death. So, when a person dies, okay, they take him to hospital and do some examinations to the body after death. Why? To see what is the reason for the death of this person. This is called autopsy. Pronunciation.
Autopsy. Autopsy.